Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Jason Hardy with Elite Barbecue Smokers, and today is Barbecue Roundtable. We've got some great guests today. Talk about a lot of cool things. With all that being stated, let's get started. Mr. Brian, introduce yourself.
My name is Brian Penrod. I'm from Fayetteville, North Carolina, and our barbecue team name is Budweiser's Barbecue.
Cool. Mr. Justin?
Justin Holt Brothers Barbecue, Charlotte, North Carolina, Chili, Charlotte.
I tell you what, fellas, we're talking about a little before the show. I hope everybody stays safe this Christmas time. It's coming up really quick. Hope y'all your presents got, but this cold weather coming through there, y'all please be safe. This is the kind of unnatural cold for Christmas for the Southeast. Other parts of the country, y'all totally know how to handle this. I don't. I'm glad I just got my air conditioner heating pack replaced, so actually we can stay warm in here.
Yikes.
But hey, it's all good. We there. Mr. Brian, give us a little bit of background story about you and kind of like what was your pre-barbecue competition days, but how did you start and kind of get hooked into barbecue?
Oh man, but it's actually kind of a long story. But so I was in the military, but and I retired from the military. So I was in the military for almost 30 years. But back in the 90s, we would go to Africa and Bosnia and all that. We'd have to have our own house, and for whatever reason, we couldn't get a cook to go with us. So I had to cook once. So all the other times we had to cook for ourselves. So you got like 10 of us out there living in this house. You know what I mean? So we'd rotate cooking duties, and so that's kind of where I kind of got into it because one time I was making this big pot of stew or something, and I dumped all this cayenne pepper in there, and my big boss, he got all upset with me and put milk in there and everything. So I was like, man, you got to figure out how to cook, so. But in Bosnia, so everywhere we went, everybody barbecued, no matter where it was. Africa, and then like in Bosnia, we'd barbecue those little pigs, those little baby pigs. And so I was with the Serbs, so the Serbians, and they love to cook the little young pigs. And we had a guy, his name was Micho. He had this windshield wiper motor. And he hooked it up to, this is how he had his rotisserie thing. He hooked it up to the battery. We built a fire, and we put this little young pig on there. And they didn't like the big pigs. They liked the little pigs. And so we'd sit there and cook that thing over the fire. And he made this big venison stew over there. It was great. So we did that about once a week or so. That's how I kind of got into cooking and barbecuing and stuff. So,
well, off of that, kind of talking about that here, what is the what's the wildest thing you ever cooked and eat somewhere like that?
Oh man, so you want to hear the worst thing I've ever had to eat, or the wildest?
Both. Now,
okay, so I was in Nigeria one time, right? And they bring us out to this camp. It was they said it was a resort, but what it was a so it was up in the mountains, so it was nice and cool. It's on the Cameroon border, so it was nice and cool, and they had these Conexes. You know what I'm talking about, like these sea land containers, and they made rooms out of them, and so they fed us a 7-course meal. I puked on every course. So one of them was the insides of a ram. So they opened up all this aluminum foil, and I could smell it, and I was like, "Oh man, I'm going down." And then they're like, they were feeding me like these hot beers, they're like these Heinekens. And I was like, "Hey man, don't you have cold beer?" And they're like, "Well, sir," they say, say that accent over there, like, "Sir, it's very hot over here. It's cold here. Why do you want a hot beer?" I was like, "Man, I'm an American. Americans drink cold beer." So, oh man, that was terrible. But and then most of the time, almost everywhere I went, I had to eat goat meat. But the wildest food probably. So I was in Afghanistan, and I had this camp, and when I took over this camp, they had these 2 mules and 2 camels. So I didn't need the 2 mules or camels, so I sold the 2 mules, and one of the camels. And one of the guys was doing PT one morning. He came up and he goes, Brian, man, this little camel, which I forgot it had missold. Brian, man, this camel, he's looking really bad. So I went down to the Afghans, my soldiers. I said, hey, guys, you can have this camel. And so kill that thing and let's have it for dinner today. Said, no problem. So I told the guys doing PT, he was an Air Force guy. I said, hey, man, let's go down there with the soldiers there. We're going to have some dinner. And he goes, what? So we're sitting there. He goes, listen. He said, what is this? I said, this is this camel that you were talking about this morning. He goes, oh, man.
The poison camel.
Yeah.
That is just crazy. I mean, I've talked with people all over the country in U.S. about different things. I've talked to some people from Australia about different barbecue and stuff. But the core of what we've talked to is basically traditional food.
Yeah.
It's traditionally what we normally cook. I mean, you'll cook pork, chicken, and beef, and you can get some muttons and some different stuff like that. But you start looking into other parts of the world, their normal is not our normal.
Nope.
I think that's just crazy just to think about all that. But like you said, though, everywhere you go, there is some version of barbecue.
There's barbecue everywhere. Everywhere I've been, there's barbecue.
I mean, everybody started cooking over the fire.
Yeah,
that's where it all started from.
Everywhere I've been, all over Africa there's barbecue. Iraq and Afghanistan, all the stands there's barbecue. So barbecue everywhere.
That is just wild. You need to write a book about this stuff.
I should.
You should write a book about your barbecue experiences all over the different places. I mean, that would be just a really cool read to do that. Dean Harry said he barbecued a raccoon and said it was real good. I've never eaten a raccoon. I've hunted them a few times and found out that's not my style of hunting. But he had some locals here that they loved them. But I understand it's a real greasy meat.
Yeah, I've never eaten raccoon.
But I mean,
it's probably real greasy.
Yeah,
because the raccoons here in the city, they are the size of dogs, man. They are. You get the street style raccoons around here.
Huge. The bandits.
Yep.
Remember Singletary had that one that what he called Chico. Y'all see that video on TikTok and YouTube about him having that Chico raccoon? He kept coming over to his house eating his cat food and stuff.
That would not surprise me at all. And he named it Chico. That sounds just like him.
It was the craziest thing in the world. His story with Chico and stuff.
Chico.
It's just a little off topic here. So Brian, you've got a very unique barbecue team name.
Yeah.
So how did you come up with your team name?
So it's kind of a really funny story. So way back in the day, the job I was doing and stuff, they frowned on people having social media, Facebook type of posts and stuff, accounts. So they were like, hey, steer clear of all this stuff. So anyway, so my wife I was home in between deployments, and my wife was playing Farmville on Facebook, and she goes, man, I need a neighbor. And I was like, she goes, you got to join Facebook. So I was like, man, I need to come up with an alias. So it sounds like it's after the beer Budweiser, but actually I was thinking Bud is wiser. You know what I mean? So Budweiser. And so I made that name up. And then, so I thought I invented this name, but we were watching a People's Court, and there's a Mrs. Budweiser suing somebody on People's Court. But anyways, so when I retired, I was trying to think of a barbecue team name, and one of my buddy's daughters, she said, hey, you should name it Budweiser. So that's how we came up with Budweiser Barbecue. So it's all because of some, our alias on Facebook, and it's from her my wife needed neighbors for her strawberries on Farmville, way back in the day.
Wow, that's the most unique story ever of a barbecue team name.
Yeah. So that's how we got it. So
That's pretty cool. I was thinking it was kind of like the more bud you get, the wiser you get.
yeah. The funniest thing was the People's Court thing. I was like, man, is Mrs. Budweiser was actually on there suing somebody. So I was like, hey, I made this up.
Doug said, nice nickname, nice name. But so when did you get into competition barbecue, though?
So I got in 2006. So I got in 2016. So in 2015, I was in Afghanistan. And so I was deployed a lot, and I was either in Iraq or Afghanistan every single year except for, what was it, 07 and 08. So those 2 years I was in the States. So all those years since the war started, I was in Afghanistan. So 2015, I was burnt out, mentally done. So I called my wife and I said, hey, look, I'm coming home in 2016. I'm going to retire. And I was coming up. I was talking to all these contractors and, because a lot of my buddies would retire and then I'd see them back there in Afghanistan all the time. And they're like, yeah, we didn't have a hobby. I didn't have a hobby, blah, blah, blah. I got bored. So I came back, this, that, and the other. And plus everybody's getting divorced from their wives. So I was like, man, I need to figure out some sort of hobby. You know what I mean? Because, I married my wife for a reason. So I was like, well, barbecue. That should be fun. You know what I mean? And so I came back. I got back from Afghanistan in February, I think, of 2016. And then April or May or Kings Mountain, North Carolina was like in April or May. I can't remember. Somewhere in the spring of 2016. So we entered that competition. That was our first one. And didn't know anything about competition barbecue. And matter of fact, we were I was so dumb that we're for a pork butt, the bone pulled out. I mean, just nice and smooth, so which is normal for us now.
Yeah.
But back then, I was like, man, this thing came out clean. I said, honey, put that in the box. So we put it in the box, and it was our very first competition. And we put it in there with the meat. And the Recteq, they said we didn't get DQ because it was part of the. They said it was part of the. They said nobody's ever done that before, but they said that it was part of the pork, so they couldn't DQ us. So I think maybe they changed the rules and said, but at that point in time, they didn't DQ us. But we had 3 judges scored pretty good. 3 completely tanked us, and we came in last at pork. But we were hooked on barbecue, and after that, so we had a lot of fun. And that's how we got started and all this stuff. So
it's crazy because just the different people from different backgrounds, and we've asked this question before, and I'm going to ask a question before we kind of get into the story. But what has surprised you most about barbecue competitions?
Well, just the well, probably the whole thing. So I wasn't prepared at all for it. I didn't do any research or nothing. We just went over there and showed up, and then and cooked. So probably the biggest thing that surprised me was in the military. My background I was coming from. I'd showed these barbecue contests. People were trying to help me out, and everybody's really friendly, and made a lot of friends through there. I mean, they were outside of what I was doing in the past. So I mean, probably that, and then but the actual competitions, the attention to detail and all that stuff, and really trying to, even though presentation scored the least, but I mean, just trying to make that thing look so good, So
it's really crazy because, like you said, though, you come out here, what really just totally takes you back is how much other people are trying to help you out.
Yeah,
it kind of you kind of take a step back, like, do I trust this person? And don't get me wrong, there's times that you don't need to trust people, but for the most part, I think everybody's trying to at least help everybody out. And the friendships we've made, we've said on the show many times. I mean, it's just it's crazy. Just the best friends we have isn't through barbecue. And then, like you said, when you start getting into it and you find out that the attention to detail is so critical, And it's not just from a presentation standpoint; it's from a tanner standpoint, it's from a taste standpoint.
Yeah,
You start to find out that there's so much detail going into this crazy hobby that we just want to just scratch our heads and be like, wow. But at the end of the day, that's kind of what we get into. And that's why we keep doing it over and over and over. Or for me, it is.
Yeah. Me.
Dean's asking here, what do you cook on?
I cook right now. I cook on a Meyer Mixon G33 and a Oklahoma drum Pro Bronco, the big one.
Yeah.
So I started off cooking. So I was just backyard. I was just a dude in my backyard. So I had a big green egg, and I had a Weber. What was that thing called? The WSM.
Weber Smoky Mountain.
Yeah. So I had two of those. So I had that and a big green egg. That's what I started on. And then I bought an extra large big green egg. So I was chucking those things around for like a year.
Lord.
Yeah, that was a nightmare, and they kept breaking. And then so I was like, man, I'm gonna build these drums. So I built some homemade drum smokers, and man, as soon as I did that, we just started winning. We were doing really good on those, And then we started catering a lot. So I was like, man, I can't. I need something bigger. So that's why I bought the G33. Man, I love that G33 because I can fit everything in there, and it just cooks away. So
awesome.
Yeah, it's a good smoker. But I mean, it's crazy. Just if you look at what you started with and what you with now, just over time, the progression of your different smokers and different things you got. It's just it's really just it's humbling sometimes.
Yeah, I got a lot of money invested in all this stuff.
God, don't we all?
I started the pop-up tent, and I got $50,000 trailer.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that and the truck to pull it, and with the fuel right now, man, I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think this year is going to be an interesting year with the price of fuel and stuff going on. Is the G33 is a stick or a pellet smoker?
I use lump charcoal in it, but you can use charcoal and stuff. It's not stick or pellet, but
is it a gravity smoker?
It's a gravity fed smoker, and I use the Guru with the fan down there, so I can set it. So I cook at 300. I just set it at 300, and the thing just cooks away like an oven.
Cool. So one of the other things, one of the other reasons we'll bring you on here is to talk about the cook-off that both of y'all were at. About was it last week before last?
Yeah, I think it was last week, maybe. Yeah,
last week.
It was last week. So I wasn't there, so I'm gonna turn this part over to Justin so y'all can talk about what y'all were, the whole process, because I don't have no knowledge of it.
Yeah, man. So Brian put the word out, and Alan at a contest. God, I don't even remember what it was. I guess it was one of the last ones this year.
Yeah.
He had announcements was like, hey, Brian's looking for some people to come cook it, help out the cooks at Fort Bragg. And I was like, sign me up, man, because I'm a big military supporter. Always love spending time with Brian at contests and stuff. And, we hooked it up. So Brian can kind of tell us a little bit about what they were doing and, why we were able to go and judge the barbecue there.
So so a few years ago, everybody's like arguing about who had the best brisket. These guys at Third Group were, and so they said, "Well, hey, let's have a contest and figure it out." And so last year they decided before everybody took leave, everybody punched out on Christmas leave. Like, hey, we're gonna have a contest, get a bunch of guys together. So they just threw. Is similar to what was today, this week, kind of unorganized. As one dude cooked the brisket, four guys cooked the ribs, this, that, and the other. But so like last year, I had Bobby Brinson and Chris Starling come out and help judge those things. Last year, it was a last minute thing, so for the judging stuff, and so this year we're thinking, hey, we're going to try to make it a little bit better. So that's why they had the bouncy house. Somebody sponsored a couple of kegs of beer, and they had hamburgers and hot dogs and all that stuff. So they made it a little bit bigger. And but unfortunately, due to the events in the military, kind of when the competitors, I think I cut almost in a third or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
We lost some of the competitors, but so anyway, that's how it all started out. Just a rivalry, sitting there in the team room, going, "Hey, my ribs are better than your ribs. No, they're not. Blah blah blah. Let's go compete it out." But just to let you know, Justin, since this stuff last week, so now the higher headquarters is like, "Hey, look, we want to open this up to more people. This is a really good event." And they're like, for like you guys that are coming out, they're like, "Hey, we'll put we're gonna put these guys up. We're gonna put them on orders, pay for their hotel rooms, blah blah blah, and maybe get some sponsors to pay for the meat and all that stuff. So
That's awesome.
Charcoal and everything like that. So it hopefully be a little bit better of an event next year. I mean, it was a good event this year. The guys loved it. They really loved you guys and Wolf's Revenge and Doug and Alan being out there. And what the intent was this year was I was wanting to have like you guys go over there while they're cooking. Give classes, like help them out, like, hey, maybe trim your ribs like this, maybe, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? So I'll get more involved next year, and hopefully that's how we can make that happen. So,
awesome. Yeah. When we arrived, most of the guys had already been cooking, for most of the night. So, they already had the brisket wrapped. Ribs were starting to go on or were already on. But I think Charles and everybody, and I did the same thing, kind of went cook by cook and just talked to them for, 30 minutes to an hour about, how are you cooking? How's your cook going now? What do you like to do? Tell me a little bit about your recipe. And it was so unique seeing the different styles, hearing from the guys about, how they got started and what they're cooking on now. Like one guy had a barrel that he made that like it had some miles put on it. Another guy had 2 stick burners that he had welded together. And like the handle was one of them. The handle was like the barrel of a rifle. And he had the stock from a handgun as like the turner for the exhaust. Probably the most unique smoker you'll ever see. Another guy just was cooking on a Weber Smoky Mountain. But it was just, I thought it was a super fun experience to, share some leisure time with these guys that had just spent 6 months in Africa, dealing with shit that we can't even imagine in our everyday lives having to deal with, and just letting their hair down for a little bit. They were all just regular people, just like Jason, you and I. They gave us a full tour of the armory, which I thought was awesome. I got to hold a minigun, which was freaking crazy. And the sniper rifles were like the heaviest thing that I could ever imagine. And I was like, I don't know. No wonder all you guys are crazy fit, because you got to love these things up a mountain. They all really put hard work into their cooks and the meat that they put in the box to bring up. We had 1 brisket. So obviously they won the brisket category, but we scored them fair. Like they brought enough slices for everybody, and we had a nice little scoring category set down for tenderness and taste, and moisture, and all the stuff that goes into a real cook and a real judged contest. And then I think we had either 5 or 6 rib entries, so it was the most for ribs. They were all over the place. We had baby backs to, fall off the bone to not fall off the bone. But I thought everybody really did a good job on the ribs. And then we had a couple pork entries, including one of the best bowls of pulled pork that I've had in a long time. I gave a perfect score to one of the guys for that. And then one of the guys did a tomahawk steak. I guess they had an open category.
Yeah.
Yep. And then somebody else did beef ribs. So that was part of it was a great steak and great beef ribs too. And then afterwards, we left some comments on there and we talked to each of the teams and kind of gave them, here's what we liked. Here's some of the things that we think, you could probably take away, do a little better next time. They were all super appreciative.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly, not that I came into it thinking that, hey, we're going to get some crappy barbecue here. I didn't think that at all, but I was very surprised at how awesome the entries were that everybody put up on the tables. And I think Giles and everybody else that was there kind of reiterated the same thing, that was some good food, man. I didn't leave.
And those guys are super appreciative of the comments and, just you guys being there. You know what I mean? So, because like last year, I mean, Bobby and Chris were great, but we had some other guys. I had no clue who they were, what their backgrounds were, nothing. And Bobby and Chris gave them a bunch of good comments and went around and talked to all the teams, like what you guys said. But these guys are super appreciative that you guys were there and giving those pointers. So they learned a lot from you guys. So.
Or is it something you said they're going to try to do it next year? Is it something they're going to try to? You're talking about bringing more people in the base in there to have a bigger cook inside the base, or?
Yeah, so the higher headquarters is like, hey, we want to open this up to more people, So,
oh Lord, it's going to be 3rd versus 2nd division now.
So the thing is that so the guys that are running right now are just wanting to go, hey, who has the best ribs, out of us 200 people, or whatever many. And now the higher headquarters is like, hey, it's a really good event. Why don't we open this up a little bit more to the whole unit, So we'll see what happens next year. So.
Yeah, I thought it was real neat. And Brian can kind of give a little bit more detail, but like where we were at was just the, 3rd group, Special Forces.
Yeah, he's at, they did it in the battalion motor pool, so.
And then like each, I guess they're 12-man team groups.
Yeah, so they're kicking out of their team rooms. So
so they each had like a portion of the building that we were at with like their gear and a little area outside, and then their offices and all that above it. And then each of them, were either like one guy from the team was cooking and everybody was there to support them for each of the teams that were a part of it for sure. So it was neat.
That would be wild. It would be great to continue to be part of that and help something like that kind of grow. We were trying up in Columbia, the military base in Columbia. We were trying one time this is SCBA days, trying to do an event right outside the military base to kind of help the military base. Something we were trying to do at one time. We couldn't ever get all the logistics worked out, but it'd be good to be able to go out there and do that and help kind of give back and help be part of that and show appreciation, because they do a lot for us, the military as a whole, that we, like you said earlier, we never know what's going on. We never understand. We're in la la land. And we need them to understand that we do appreciate what they're doing. We do appreciate them being part of that.
With Brian saying, those guys are super appreciative. I try to tell every one of them, the thanks is coming from me. Like, 1, thank you for letting me come on base and share this experience with you. And 2, thanks for trucking it to, wherever you've been in the world over the time of your military career and keeping us safe. I can't give you enough thanks because, I don't have the guts to do that. And somebody's got to do it. And you guys were true warriors to be huffing around and carrying those sniper rifles around that weighed like 45 pounds.
Next year, I'll see if we can go across the street and go to the range and shoot some guns,
Oh, Lord almighty. You should have seen some of the inside the photos that they had up, man. They were all, just standing outside and just fire behind them. One of the guys was like, man, we just put barrels full of diesel fuel and let them on fire, man. Just huge, It was awesome.
Yeah, I tell you, some friends and stuff I had in that, and just the stories and stuff, and and not combat stories. It's just the stories through training. I mean, that's my dad was in the military during Vietnam, and he was in M88. And I remember him telling me he was going out there to Texas, and he was doing the training out there, and they take the tanks and drive to place they wasn't supposed to be at with them M88s and stuff here, and do things, come back in. And I'm just sitting there listening to the stories like, man, how is this possible? Now, I think I from hearing him and some other people, I think it's changed over the years. I think it's gotten, well, with the computers and tracking and stuff here, it's a whole lot different than it used to be. But just hearing the stories and what all those stories combined into a sense of what we have with barbecue on a very, very different level. But you create a family. Brian, you can probably talk about this here. You went overseas, that group, y'all basically were a family. Squabbles.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you're going to have little brothers and brothers fight or whatever else. But at the end of the day, you know that's your family. You have that relationships there that you can trust and stuff here. And that's what they built with the military in those training situations.
Well, it's almost like us now. We're with each other almost every weekend barbecuing, trying to beat each other. You know what I mean? So, we basically go camping on steroids every weekend together. You know what I mean? So,
somebody at last contest, she was asking, said, "Why don't y'all just go camping?" I said, "Can you imagine putting all these A personalities in a campground together with nothing to do? If you had any idea of what would happen with that?"
Yeah,
you gotta have something that you can have bragging rights about at the end of the weekend.
Yeah.
Now, I love the Rufus Teague series. We do a barbecue competition inside campgrounds. Loved it.
Yeah, that was really nice.
I agree. I thought that was a lot of fun.
I think we got spoiled on that stuff. So
yeah, especially the ones with the pools. So Jason, if you can start booking some more contests that have pools at them, I'll be happy. That was a hard thing to tell Hollis, "Daddy, how many contests we're going to have with pools this year?" And I was like, I don't know. We're going to be in a lot of parking lots and fields, man. Probably not many pools unless we get some hotels.
Yeah, I tell you, the campground series with Rufus Teague series, it was a lot of fun. But again, things change over time. The other contests come back out. The cost of doing contests went up, and you can't compete with prize pots on those events that's been sponsored. So you kind of I don't think we could have done it. And I think if we'd done a contest with 12 or 13 teams, we could have done it, but I don't think it would have been happy. And I felt like that at the end of the day, sometimes it's not worth the headache. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, you served us well for a full season, and that was all we could do for that year, pretty much.
It's all we had going on during COVID.
Yes.
And Bob was a big part of it, doing that out there and doing it. And I'm hard-headed enough that I wanted to cook, so I found a way to help persuade it to be happening. So that's just the name of the game. And speaking of what y'all done with the military, with that cook-off y'all had, what was it called, by the way?
I think it was called the Bushman Barbecue or something like that.
Bushman Barbecue.
Is that what it was called? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the name of their battalion, the Bushmans. So
that's cool. Well, I'll say this: if they want to go next year and to kind of grow it, to do more with it, and you need some help, call me.
I will.
I've been involved with putting together a lot of contests, so I can help out and find out the exact needs that they have, what they want to grow to, and what they want to be. I'll be more than happy to do that. And again, it goes back to what I was saying before. Everywhere you've been has been barbecue. You've had barbecue of some kind everywhere you've been. And they come home, and the reason we cook barbecue, the reason why I enjoy cooking, is that somebody asked me the other day at work. I said, "Man, listen, it doesn't matter what's going on. If I got food I put in front of somebody, more than likely they're going to be smiling and happy because it's really good food."
It's free.
I mean, it's more than likely it's good food, And I don't really have that many people come up to me wanting to get mad at me for not having good food.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas work's work and what y'all do is what y'all do. We always dealing with stress, but with cooking food, man, everybody's smiling and happy. Yeah, it might be free, but at the end of the day, I still enjoy cooking good food.
Yeah. Yep.
Brian, did you cook growing up to kind of have a foundation to get into it? Or did you, like you say, you just got baptized by fire?
No, I just got maybe I can show you all my pictures or all my books, but when I retired, I tried to reinvent myself. So let me try to get see that bookshelf right there? That's nothing but barbecue books.
Jeez.
That YouTube from 2016 till 9, you know what I mean?
Brian's barbecue library. That's awesome.
I will say this. Your pictures on Instagram of your food or the food you cook on Instagram is top notch. I mean, straight up. Those is cookbook worthy pictures.
Yep, I'd agree with that.
And I mean, I'm taking some pictures and trying to have it just for the YouTube side of it. And I'm sitting looking at your picture. I'm like, well, damn it. I'm just going to tell him to come here and take my pictures and I'll be done with this mess because I can film it and stuff like that. But the pictures that you have is just.
I just use the iPhone. I just snap it with my iPhone. That's all I do.
Maybe it's what you do, but you kind of have the vision of staging it.
Yeah. So when I first start cooking, when I first put the chicken on the grill, I have a vision how I want it when it comes off. You know what I mean? So
awesome.
It's kind of. So I'm like, it's the same thing with the ribs. I'm like, okay. I'll tell my wife, I'm like, okay, these are the ribs. I'm gonna put, you know what I mean? This is what I'm going for. You know what I mean? And, so that's just kind of how I do it. You know what I mean? So.
Well, I mean, cool. I take my hat off to you because, like I said, you got your pictures are top notch quality. I think that's amazing.
I made some bolognese the other night, and I plated it on a paper plate, so I couldn't. I took a picture. I was like, man, I can't post that on Instagram. You know?
Where do you get inspirations for your little recipes you cook at home? Because it's not barbecue recipes. Like I said, it's just different.
I just I don't know. I asked my wife Gina what she wants that night, and then I'm her cook, so she's like, "Well, I want this." I'm like, "All right, got it, bet." You know, it's like trying to figure out how to cook it. You know, so yeah, I'm retired. My whole job is to take care of my woman now. You know, so
awesome.
So I try to do that. You know, but women are hard to take care of. So she's right over there.
I understand.
I'm doing a good job, honey.
I'm very spoiled.
Oh man. So you were talking about the things that you were talking about for the show here. You kind of hopefully over with, but right now you're retired, but you also do a lot of catering.
Yeah, I do a lot of catering. So we finished. Well, I just got hit up for some pork butts for Christmas, but I'll figure that one out. But yeah, we do a lot. I do a lot of catering. But that all came about with this competition barbecue stuff. So I didn't cater before, just people just started asking me to cater. So and then so we started doing so we've done a bunch of weddings, and then we just keep doing events. So I don't advertise on it; it's just word of mouth, and then bam, just keeps on going. So
that's cool. It's good business.
It's a lot of work. Catering's a lot of work. Catering's a lot harder than. Competition barbecue is nothing compared to catering.
I will second that. Yeah, I got a lot of people who are like, man, why don't you do that for a living? And I'm like, I make plenty of money sitting on my ass in front of the computer.
Yeah.
I do not want to slave over cooking food and then giving it away and then having to turn around and do the same thing the next day.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun though. I learn a lot, so I can tell now. Like before, I didn't know when I used my thermopin or whatever to tell when a pork butt or a brisket or ribs are done, but now you can just almost tell by the smell, because I'm cooking it every single day. I'm like, man, okay, the pork's done. Go probe it, sure, it's like 205,
wow,
or whatever, so I can smell it good. But the other thing I'm doing too is I'm like a moron. I'm going to college, so trying to get my doctorate degree. Yeah, I'm getting my doctorate degree.
Very cool.
So they're studying every single day. All I do is read, type, and barbecue. That's all I do. Read, type, barbecue. Read, type, barbecue.
What you studying to be a doctor of?
the doctorate in business administration with a finance concentrate.
Cool.
So I do a lot of math. I'm doing math all the time. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
My wife keeps telling me to go back to school to get the engineering stamp, but man, I had to give up something other to do that. And now I don't think I'm going to quit my job.
Yeah. So I'm retired. I'm not working. So
yeah.
But I can barbecue and read and type at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So where are you originally from? Fayetteville originally?
No, St. Louis, Missouri. So the big thing out there is pork steaks. I don't know if you know that or not, but the big big thing out there is the 1.5 inch to 2 inch thick pork steak. We'd throw them on, we'd smoke them and put a good barbecue sauce on there. But I can't get it here in North Carolina. I can get the little bitty thin ones, but I can't get the thick ones like in St. Louis. And St. Louis has a different type of flavor for their sauce too. It's a tomato base, but it has a little bit of vinegar in there. So it's different in Kansas City. St. Louis has their own sauce. So
it's really crazy just traveling to places and seeing that the different areas have got a little bit different twists on stuff. Yeah. And that's just in the U.S. I mean, and I'm not talking about like you were saying outside the country. I'm talking about in here. You get South Carolina, you got tomato-based barbecue sauce up there around Greenville, Spartanburg. You got vinegar sauce around the northern part going up into Virginia. I mean, in North Carolina. Then you got the mustard base from that little stretch from Columbia to Charleston. Then you got down towards Georgia, and it gets really kind of sweet back there towards the Georgia to Florida stuff. And then get North Carolina, same thing. Go to the mountains, got a little bit more of a tomato base. You get towards the coast, more vinegar base. Then you go up there in Virginia, and I have no idea what they like. Never done good up there.
That's the one thing that got me with this competition barbecue was the pork. We'd always do terrible on pork, and I was like, man, the tenderance is awesome. What's going on with this? And so I took a judging class, and I started judging, and all the pork I was getting was sweet, and I was like, man, I'm a North Carolina guy, you know what I mean? And
that was a hard one for me to learn too.
I'm like, man, there's no vinegar in this, So the table captain was like, he knew why I was sitting there judging. Because he's seen me compete before, And so he starts giving me a class. And basically he told me, he said, if I brought my mother to a barbecue joint, they had vinegar in the barbecue sauce, she would slap me. I was like, really? And he's like, this stuff, this vinegar, North Carolina vinegar stuff is an acquired taste. Nobody else, likes it except for, North Carolina, us North Carolinians, So I was like, man. So I started to go do the sweet bar. Now I like the sweet barbecue on there now, but that really took me for a loop there, So
I think through a time there, it was Blues Hogs, straight up Blues Hogs. I think it's kind of when they introduced the Tennessee Red, which is a version of a North Carolina vinegar. I think it's kind of a mix in a 50-50 mix. That's kind of tamed it down there. But for a while there, man, it was candy barbecue.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what's going to happen now with COVID kind of going over and some old judges coming back, some new judges is not judging. I don't know what's going to happen next year or so, but we don't know from year to year anyhow.
Guess we'll learn really quick first couple of contests, right? Whether we got to try changing some stuff.
Brian will be at Sip and Swine?
I will. When is Sip and Swine?
March, something other.
I can't remember.
I'll look real quick.
It's a good contest to go to.
I've been to Sip and Swine before. So March we have Urbana, and then April we're doing Jimbo's and that Pine Forest one or Pinehurst one.
First weekend in
March. Sip and Swine first weekend in March, 3rd and 4th.
Sip and Swine, that's in Georgia, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. No, we're not going to be at Sip and Swine. So we're going to go to
Iron Station in February.
Iron Station in February, and then March is so I can only do about one a month. So at least it on average with the gas and everything costs me in between $8,000 and $1,000 for a competition. And I'm a retired Army guy. I'm not loaded. So I can only do about one of these a month.
They get pricey, man.
Yeah, one of the ones on my bucket list was that Washington D.C. one, and holy cow, it's
Brian
$1,700
commented
for
too.
entry.
I commented on that post too. I was like, is that a typo? Like, there's no way that contest costs that much. I understand the location and all, and everybody.
300
awesome.
bucks for electricity, and then
I was
which
like,
the guy said, hey, that's the price. I mean, it's just how much it costs to do it there. But
yeah, cool.
man, I mean, you're talking about it. Like these guys at Fort Bragg are wanting to get into barbecue. They're not. That's a barrier to entry right there, big time.
Oh, you want to start a new hobby? $1,500 to enter the contest.
$2,000. It's like, hey, get bit, buddy.
And I do believe, and we're not going to try. I'm not trying to get into conversation of politics, KCBS, but we're done it to ourselves. I mean, we've done it to ourselves as far as the cost of barbecue.
Yeah.
So I think that there is a need and a desire for people to, and the SCBAs right now is fitting that need in South Carolina. You go join the contest, $250. They give you the pork, you cook it. You can go out there and compete and do barbecue.
Yep.
And I think I think what they're doing is really, really good. And but I feel like you get outside of South Carolina, that's a need that other people want to do also, because like you said, it's not feasible for 99% of the population to go out there and do competition barbecue like we're doing it. Now, backyard's there, and I don't know the cost of backyard barbecue, and it's a good thing to get into. But if I'm competing, I want to compete. I don't want to personally. I want to go and win it all or win nothing. But that's just me.
Well, that's the good thing about the SCA, which I'm not trying to get into different leagues or that, but you pay one fee and you get two steaks. You cook them and you're done one day.
SCA is a lot different, man. Because I do a lot of SCA, too, Brian. You know that we see each other at different cook-offs, and that's a whole different breed, man. Like you just load up stuff in the back of your truck, and you probably
I fit in the back of my wife's Explorer, and we say it at Hilton all the time.
Yeah, there you go. That's the one thing when I first started doing it, everybody was like, "No, you just got to put stuff. You ain't got to pack much at all." And I was like, "Cool." And then at the end of it, I was like, "Damn, I got to put all this stuff back in the truck." Like barbecue, all I got to do is just throw a couple ratchet straps inside and put some stuff in a drawer, and I'm ready to go home. I was like, man, I got to lift all this stuff into the back of my bed. Nobody said about anything about this.
Y'all remember the barbecue contest we used to do where we turned in at 4:30 in the afternoon? We done the shootouts that way.
You did like last
year. Those shootouts
in Raleigh.
Man, I love that. I could then sleep a little bit late, get up, go to breakfast, come back and start cooking. I think that was the best thing in the bloody world. I mean, you could actually come in that morning and cook barbecue if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I was sitting there going like, I don't know why we don't do more of that.
Yeah, those early mornings they'll wear you out.
Well, the purpose of that is some people were saying that they couldn't do barbecue because they couldn't take off work on Fridays.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole goal of that is try to say, well, you can just get off work and then come to a barbecue contest and you just cooking Saturday. You ain't got to take off work on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know sure that it really worked out that way, but that's what the intent was, to go out there and kind of do that.
Well, I think that's why you see a lot of the guys in SEA that hit it pretty hard. They probably work on Fridays and then they just hit the road and they drive, to wherever it is and then show up at 7 a.m. Now you get some of those guys are flying in, competing, hitting the road as soon as flying back out and go to another contest chasing points. And you want to talk about points chasers. I mean, some of those top state cooks, Brian, you'll know they're 60, 65 contests a year. And I'm like, there ain't that many weekends. Like, I don't know, the math ain't matching up there. Like,
keep up with that, but
ain't no way you keep up with that. No, that's every single weekend going all over the place,
Yeah.
Man, it's almost like we're obsessive, which we are, I reckon.
Oh, yeah, you don't say. You don't think.
I think we're overly competitive, you know what I mean? So.
But it was like somebody was telling me the other day that they was getting out of barbecue and selling their stuff, and they basically got out of it. Turned around and find out, damn, all my friends in barbecues now they're getting back into barbecue.
Yeah,
it's just, it's really truly, it's really a hard thing to totally put down. Now, I do think that we're going. I personally, and I think some other people are going to have kind of just take a step back just from the finances because I think we're going to cook, but I don't think that we'll cook it. And there was a post on Facebook about some of that, about the difference it is now than it was 3 or 4 years ago. There's a lot of truth to that. But at the same time there's a lot different cost there is now than it was 2 or 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, pre-COVID, right at the beginning of Rufus Teague series, you could do a contest, wasn't that bad of a deal. But right now it's pretty expensive to do contests.
Yeah. It's definitely an expensive hobby, but.
So, Brian, what's your favorite thing to cook at home right now?
Oh, at home. Well, I love ribs. So, I mean, ribs and chicken are easy for me. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I don't know. I tried to mix everything up. So I cook, so we'll have like Asian night, and then so I'll do different Thai dishes. We have Italian night, and I have like in the Army, we would have at the chow hall every day would be like soul food night, surf and turf night, this, that, and the other side. I'm still an Army guy, so I implement that at my house. I'm like, honey, surf and turf night, soul food night tonight, Asian night tonight.
I mean, really, you got to write a book, man. Take the pictures you make and just put a blog out there.
Man, the stories I got to tell.
I mean, you got some really cool pictures and cool recipes.
Brian's camel barbecue book.
There you go. That camel thing, that is the funniest thing ever.
That's a pretty cool story.
I got a picture of that. I'll send you guys a picture of that. Well, you can't tell we're eating it. We're just sitting there hanging out, So.
Well, we know now.
Yeah,
if anybody looks green at the table, we know why.
I think my wife said I had a picture of the camel.
Handicapped camel.
Yeah, he was a sad dude.
Yeah, the camel was sick. So.
The sick camel.
That's why I couldn't sell it. None of the.
What else are you gonna do with it, right?
Nobody would buy it, so I was like, "All right, we're gonna eat it." I'll give it
Oh, that's awesome.
Richard said, "Brian, thank you for your service."
Well, thanks, Richard. Appreciate it.
I want to say thank you for your service on that. It's been a good show tonight. I greatly appreciate you coming on here tonight, and truly appreciate what all you've done.
Thanks for inviting me, and Justin and Charles and Alan and Doug. I mean, that was awesome. Everybody showing up out there. Randy and Barry from Wilson.
When I was leaving, I was like, I can't believe the experience I just had, man. That was incredible. Just driving 15 minutes deep into the base, I was like, ain't a lot of civilians get to come back here, I think, man. We're in a place that not a lot of people in the U.S. get to come, but I called my brother right after because, he and I are big military supporter guys, and he was like, I'm so damn jealous, man. That had to be incredible. And I was like, dude, I can't even tell you how it was incredible, man.
Yeah, I'll see if they'll be willing, but we'll try to get you guys on the range next year. Everybody shows up.
That'd be awesome, man. I'd love to see those things going off. Jason, I got to hold a rocket propelled grenade launcher. And it was lighter, and the minigun was heavy. Granted, it was just the gun part. It didn't have all the other stuff that went with it. God, those sniper rifles, dude, they were so heavy. I was like, that's the heaviest weapon I have ever felt in my entire life. I mean, they were
50 cal.
Dude, yeah, they were
50
so
cal.
heavy. I think they were 50 cal. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't go in there with them, but like when I was in Iraq, I had a 50 cal sniper rifle as a Barrett, and I mean, you can see those on YouTube. I mean, these things are huge, So I had two Pelican cases, and it was heavy. So I'd have to take it apart. It was taken apart. Or if I needed it, I'd put it all together and then set it up. So
one of them had like a
$12,000
scope on it.
Yeah.
Like they let us use and look through the new night vision goggles with the white phosphorus. I was like, this is incredible, man. You guys can see everything in here. He's like, yeah, man, we just strap on top of our helmet, pull them down whenever we need them.
Yeah, they've definitely come a long ways from depth perception and night vision over the years.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there was no question in the depth with that thing for sure. But Alan's big on that stuff, man, and he was holding that grenade launcher and he was grinning from about here to here. I took a picture of him too. He was like, "Whoa."
So
Quite
me
an
and my
experience.
cousins, kind of total off topic a little bit. But me and my cousin when we was little, we would always play Army around the farm. And I remember 4th of July, and we went to town and Army Navy store and bought 2 of those old bazookas, the shells of bazookas. You know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
And we bought some Roman candles. And so we were sitting there throwing the thing, stuffing them jam full of Roman candles in that bazookas. And then we were sitting there just lobbing the things at each other across the farm. We caught the field on fire. Got our ass whipped. Nah, man, that was just, again, thank you for your service. And please tell the guys at the military base to thank you for their service. And if they want to do this, I mean, there's a lot of us out there, I'm sure we'd jump over backwards to help them out.
Yeah.
And to make that stuff. Brian, you got any sponsors you want to shout out to?
No, I have no sponsors. I sponsor myself. So, pay for everything myself.
That's a good thing.
Budweiser's Barbecue. That's my sponsor right there.
Listen, if y'all on the YouTube, I'll put all the information. It'll be on the YouTube description. His be kind of the social media tags. Get in touch with them. Again, thank you for being on the show. We greatly appreciate it. It was a great show tonight. Several people have said that on there. And what y'all have done and what y'all done at the military base is just top notch. And if anything I can do to help you out, please let me know. Where are you cooking next, Brian? Sorry.
Mission Farms. We'll be at Mission Farms.
All right.
Where's the Iron Station?
Yeah, that's Iron Station. That's going to be our first one too. Hollis wanted us to go to Florida, but that's coming up quick, and I was like, I don't think we're going to pull it off this year, man. We'll make it down there, but it looks like Iron Station is going to be ours. I'll be in there Yahtzee with my new trailer.
I'm gonna try to get there early to where I'm not dealing with that stuff.
Well, you could do like I did and get there the last, and then they just put you right in the front, and then I could just like pull right out at the end of it. I was like, dang, that's the skill right there, man. You just
I think it was raining last year too. It was all muddy when we were there last year.
Yeah, it was pretty muddy there for sure. But that's a good time though, with the sounds like they're going to do the potluck again on Friday night. That was a lot of fun, just breaking bread with
Yeah, that whole event was great. I mean, it was just everybody, just all of us hanging out. So
I love those kind of contests too. Where
I don't think you had too much fun on that one though, Jason. If I remember right, I can't remember.
Me?
Yeah.
I was throwing so many sheets to the wind. It was anything. There's probably pictures on that one that probably get me in trouble. Somebody stole my phone, and I think it was Ed that cooks with Twisted Pear got my phone.
And
it was interesting.
You made some Facebook posts that night?
Nah, they didn't make that. Just some pictures. But yeah, it was a great time. But
yeah,
no, we had a good time.
I'm looking forward to it this year. It'll be fun to kick the season off. It's going to be.
Yeah, we should have
coming up pretty quick too.
Yeah, man, time's flying by.
Cleaned.
All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all being on the show.
All right, thanks. You guys take care. Merry Christmas.
Good to see you. Merry Christmas to you.